Hi, Dr. Reagan Robertson, CCO of Productive Dentist Academy here, and I have a question for you. Are you finding it hard to get your team aligned to your vision, but you know you deserve growth just like everybody else? That's why we've created the PDA Productivity Workshop. For nearly 20 years, PDA workshops have helped dentists just like you align their teams, get control of scheduling, and create productive practices that they love walking into every day. Just imagine how you will feel when you know your schedule is productive, your systems are humming, and your team is aligned to your vision. It's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. We can help. Visit productivedentist.com/workshop. That's productivedentist.com/workshop to secure your seats now.
When you think about 60 implants at $4,000 a piece, from implant placement to restoration, that's $240,000 that's going to be coming through my office in a 2-week window from implants alone. And that's huge.
Welcome to the Everyday Practices Podcast. I'm Reagan Robertson, and my co-host, Dr. Chad Johnson, and I are on a mission to share the stories of everyday dentists who generate extraordinary results using practical, proven methods you can take right into your own dental practice. If you're ready to elevate patient care and produce results that are anything but ordinary, buckle up and listen in.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Everyday Practices Dental Podcast. This is your host, Chad Johnson, and this is a monologue today. I am wanting to discuss dental implants and the marketability of those. This might not pertain to everyone, but this is going to be a quick discussion on how I got 60 implants in the last 2 weeks to be placed. And so I typically do a couple hundred implants a year, so nothing outstanding, but at the same time, legit. And we are getting a Yomi robot. And so we're going to be doing a podcast coming up with a couple of Productive Dentist Academy doctors that have done Yomi training and that they have it in their office. I am getting mine. I got mine installed last week, and we're doing training over the next couple of weeks. So if you have any questions that you'd like to bring up about the Yomi robot and the potential for that, because I'm like the 220th-ish customer in on Yomi, and I wanted to, for your sake, be able to talk to you about that. Yomi is a robot that helps place the implant in the right XYZ coordinates, exactly where you plan it. So the robotic arm you hold like a drill, and the handpiece goes in and places the implant, the osteotomy site and the implant placement exactly where you plan it on the CT. The patient wears something on their teeth, a fiducial marker that helps us be able to find on the CT where it is in real time. So if the patient moves, the robot knows where the patient is moving. So hopefully that's a quick explanation of what Yomi is. Of course, you can YouTube and see, what the Yomi robot is, or Yomi dental robot. So I wanted to talk to you about how I got 60 implants in the last 2 weeks to lined up. And what we did was I went through the schedule, and this is something that you can plan ahead on. So I'll talk about that in a minute, but we didn't have anything of a certain code marked in patients' schedules or in their treatment plans. So that way we'd be able to find edentulous spaces. So I have 2 offices. I went through the calendar and I spent a couple hours to go back the last 14 months. I went back, 14 months into the schedule at one office and 2 hours at the other office the next day. So I spent a Friday afternoon and a Saturday morning, couple hours and a couple hours, 4 hours total, finding all the edentulous spaces in all the patients that we have. Then what we did was I, opened up their chart, and I would look for which patients, like which, teeth are missing, and can I open up their CT scan and place an implant into that site? And sure enough, I could find room to place an implant. And if they were just halfway a good candidate, what we did was we started making a Google Sheet. On Google Sheets, you can make an Excel file, but the cool thing about Google Sheets is it's online And so it's in real time. So other people can be working on it and updating it, and you can see their updates while you're working on it. And it's not like someone has to have the master copy and only one person can be working on it at a time. Hopefully that makes sense, that it's synchronized, synchronous working. And so when I made a template, and I'm going to bring that up here. So on my Google Sheets, and I labeled it Yomi implant candidates. I have the patient's name in the next column, the tooth number, whether we emailed them or not, whether we called them or not, and when. So we wrote down the date that we emailed and called. Then I made a video on my phone, a vertical video. And what we did then was we uploaded it to YouTube as a short, and it was a private video. So other people can't see this video except if you have the link. And so we made a YouTube video, and I embedded that into a text to send to the patient saying, hey, just curious, Dan, if you want to have the implant placed on your upper left molar, let's say something like that. And if you want to get a hold of us, feel free to call Sally at this phone number, 555 blank, and ask about the huge discount that we're offering. Now, typically what we do from start to finish, because we place the implant and then we restore it for a single tooth, we do $6,000. Other people might have a better pricing and stuff like that. But let's just say that, at the rate that we're at, that we're charging $6,000. What I did for this implant training was I said, we're offering $2,000 off. Huge discount, relatively speaking, right? And I've never done this in the 19 years that I've placed implants, but we offered 2,000 off. So now $4,000 was six, do one tooth, you can do 4 teeth, stuff like that. And along those lines too, there were some people that came in that we were talking about doing full arch stuff. And so I cut the price by 1/3. And so typically a $30,000 arch, I said, I'll do for 20. And we're trying to, the Yomi company said they're coming in for 2 weeks of training and they want to have implants lined up. Well, I took them literally and I was like, okay. So I ended up finding 200 patients in my schedule that we could email the YouTube video, email and ask if they wanted to do this, call and send a text. So I tried hitting every medium without being obnoxious. And it's interesting how many patients that we got lined up within a 2-week window, of them saying, hey, you need to line up the patients. It might have been 2.5 weeks. I don't think it was quite 3 weeks. But right at the 2 to 3 week mark, we started, getting a hold of the patients. And I was really shocked. Here's why too. I'm a fee for service office and I don't have a lot of patient volume. So I thought it would be advantageous for you guys to hear, because you guys probably you probably have twice the amount of patients that I do. And you possibly have 3 or 4 times the amount of patients that I do, just by volume of PPO stuff. When you do have a higher volume of patient history, you could go back 24 months, you could go back 5 years, and you don't have to necessarily do it. But interestingly, I had some of my admin people looking it over about 3 weeks ago, and we had 12 patients lined up. And so I told my assistants, hey, I want you to go through the schedule and I want you to look at these couple columns for you, assistant number 1. I want you to go through the hygienist column number 1 and column 2 and go back and then write down, like names of edentulous spaces candidates. And then, assistant 2, you look at hygienist 3 and hygienist 4. So you guys just split that up, work backwards, see how far back you go. They went back a couple months, and I found that it was easier and more comprehensive if I went into the chart, and you could train someone to do this, but it was kind of cutting it close on time. So I just went through, they found 15 more. So we were at 27. And I was like, man, I know we should be able to have more. I finished the list after the 4 hours that I committed on that Friday, Saturday, and I was at 200 patients. So I recorded a personal video to each of the 200 patients. And I tried making it 20 seconds, and sometimes it was pushing 30 seconds. And I'd be like, hey, Dan, and I already said this, but, hey, Dan, good seeing you the other day. And I'd make it real personal, hey, Dan, hope the kids are doing good. Great to see you last week. I know we talked about that implant, but did you know that we're offering a huge discount for the second and the third week of April. If you're interested in hearing more, call Sally at blank, 555 this and that. And it was interesting. Then we started getting more calls and I started sending out these 200. And I'll just tell you, so like if I have fewer than 2,000 patients and I got 200, so I found 10% of my people had edentulous spaces that we could fill. And it was interesting then, out of the 200 that we got, so we ended up finding 24 patients and there's 60 implants. So about 3 implants per person, on average. Some of them are single implants, some of them are full arch, some of them are full arch, double arch. And then we would flag those people in the Google Sheet as green for go. And I would put in exactly what size of implant that we have. So that way we were ordering just the implants that I pre-planned. So we didn't have this huge inventory that we had to worry about. And then if someone said, I'm thinking about it, we marked those people in yellow. And then if someone said, I'm not interested in it at all, then I put them in red and swung them down to the bottom of the list. Because I don't want to, bother those people if they're not interested or now's not a good time. I don't want to be, like a salesman that's, trying to be a jerk. But at the same time, I wanted everyone to know. I thought you guys would find it interesting that with fewer than 2,000 patients, found 200 patients that have edentulous spaces, and you guys could start marking that in your chart if you had a fake code for you to mark that, so that way you could look for those later. And we marked down which teeth, and that out of the 200 patients, I got 24 of them to say yes. So about we went from 2,000 to 200 to 20, and I have 60 implants. Now, if you think about it, even at a discounted cost, at offering a discount, which is a next small point, that if you're offering some kind of discount, it can be awesome because we got a lot of response from this. I've never done that before, but we just said we're doing this limited offering of implant training, and people thought that was really cool. They didn't think, oh, well, I'm a guinea pig and stuff like that. I'll tell you what, 24 people, or about 1% of your patient population, is going to say yes, but you have to reach out to them. And shooting the video also took a lot of time. It was a handheld video. We actually had a stand, so it was kind of done right. So I had my phone up and I recorded a message. You're looking into the camera, and I was looking on the screens, to say, hey, Dan, the upper left tooth that's missing. I was just contacting you about if you're interested in getting those replaced, or, something like, hey, Janet, last year you came in and you were talking about your denture problems. I've got quite an offer for you. Now, it's still expensive, but we're offering about a third off. If you're interested in hearing more about it, it's specifically for the second and the third week of April. Give Sally a call, and she would, these people would call, and I've got 60 implants. When you think about 60 implants at 4,000 a piece, from implant placement to restoration, that's $240,000 that's going to be coming through my office in a 2-week window from implants alone. And that's huge. If I could keep on doing that, where I'm placing 30 implants a week, heck yeah, that's awesome. If you have any comments or questions, and you're on Facebook where you see this post, feel free to post comments and questions below. If you have any questions that you want to send directly to me to ask for more details, it's chad@productivedentist.com. And I think that should wrap us up. But I was excited to let you guys know I found 60 implants in 2 weeks, and I just had to mine them. I had to work for them. I had to, contact the patients, and we were diligent about emailing, calling, texting, and even uploading a YouTube video for patients to watch to see the connection that I was trying to make. Hey, I care about, your mouth, and I want to offer you a special offer. So curious if you guys give that a try, if you can, put below that it worked well for you too. But if I can find 60 in a small fee for service practice, 2 practices that come less than, 2,000 patients, your success rate should be that you're finding about 10% of your patients have edentulous spaces that need implants or more, right? I mean, or more. And that out of those 10%, that 10% of those, or 1% of your total population, your practice population, that you should be able to be placing some implants awfully soon, even if it's at a discount. The volume that you're doing, I ordered implants through my implant dealer, and they gave me a discount. I use, nice implants, and which typically don't have as stark of a discount. But they were even, I told him, I said, "Hey, I need about 60 implants." He was like, "Oh, I can cut you a deal." So that was really cool too. Keep that in mind. Any questions, list below, shoot me an email. Hope you have a great week. Reagan will be back soon, but for the next couple episodes, I'm probably monologuing, just so you know. Look forward to that. And I'm looking forward to you being a listener in the car and on the way to work and stuff like that. Thanks for listening to Everyday Practices Dental Podcast.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Everyday Practices Podcast. Chad and I are here every week thanks to our community of listeners just like you, and we'd love your help. It would mean the world if you can help spread the word by sharing this episode with a fellow dentist and leave us a review on iTunes or Spotify. Do you have an extraordinary story you'd like to share, or feedback on how we can make this podcast even more awesome? Drop us an email at podcast@productivedentist.com. And don't forget to check out our other podcasts from Productive Dentist Academy at productivedentist.com/podcasts. See you next week.